really kind of you. I know you all have busy schedules, and I hope you're all staying well and healthy wherever you are in the world. Um, so my name is Simon Morley, and I'm the International Manager at the University of Brighton. And I'm just going to give you an overview of some of the courses that we have at Brighton. And I'm here to answer as many questions as I can as possible. And so do feel free to take part and feel very much part of this. So I'm going to see if I can share my screen right now. I'm just going to try one more time. Let's try this. There we go. So apparently I'm sharing my screen, so I hope that's the case.
Yep, that's the case. You can see it.
That's good, otherwise it'd be really embarrassing. So actually, one of the things I do want you to know about University of Brighton is that it's a really friendly place. It's a really friendly and supportive place, and that is one of its strengths. So that you can I think when I first joined, people said you can sort of be anybody you want to be in some ways, and part of the ethos is you can belong at Brighton. This is what Brighton itself looks like. So the very first slide. And for those of you who've never been to the UK before, it won't be quite as warm as Egypt, I'm sorry to say. But it does have a nice warm atmosphere. So there we go. We don't have the heat, but we make up with it with atmosphere. And here, in fact, actually at the very bottom of the screen is the pier, which lots of people like to go to. For those of you, again, who don't really know much about Brighton, I'll start from the very beginning. So Brighton and Eastbourne are our two campuses. And to give you an idea, it's, well, actually we say it's 50 minutes from London by train. Actually, it's sometimes even a little bit less than that if you class London as being kind of the greater body. You can be right in the centre of London within 50 minutes to 1 hour. And that really isn't very much at all, because it's just the one train that takes you right into the centre of London. On top of that, you can be in Gatwick Airport in 30 minutes, and then international soon as that, straight afterwards. So it's really well connected. We are a multi-campus university, and I'll go into that a little bit later. But this is what we look like at Brighton. Mentioned before, it's a very welcoming place, but it's also a very, very diverse place. It's very multicultural. Everybody has a position at Brighton, and therefore I really do reiterate that whoever you are, you will feel part of that same community. And that's a really great way of looking at Brighton. Brighton itself is a city, but outside that, within that is also Brighton, the University of Brighton, which is in itself its own community as well. But you do feel part of the greater community of Brighton. Brighton itself actually has 14% of the population of 200,000 are actually students. So it's very much a vibrant place. If you look down the right-hand side, so even though Brighton itself is quite a hub of activity, just outside Brighton, and this is just a short bus ride away, is an area of natural beauty, and these are called the South Downs. So particularly if you're creative, you want to clear your head, this is an area just outside. What makes Brighton really strong is actually that it's very much a technical university. It's very much a hands-on approach to learning. So we don't just give you theory, it's very much practical approach to actually learn whilst doing. And therefore, a lot of our courses, the real specialisms behind them are the high-class facilities in which you learn. So things like pharmacy, for example, here we have medicine, nursing, and all the different studios that we have. The engineering block itself as well, actually, which I haven't included here, has state-of-the-art equipment. It's a brand new block. Actually, I'll be able to show you a slide about that a bit later. And we haven't stopped there. I mentioned about our high-class facilities, but we're actually even more. So the big build is an amazing project that's taking place, which we finished by the end of 2021. And it is a £300 million investment that's been made to improve the Morecambe campus. Now, I mentioned before that we are on 4 different campuses, but Morecambe campus is the main campus, and I'll come into that in a second. But it's I'm in the neighborhood. You see all these buildings going up at high speed now, as well as actually having academic buildings. There's going to be lots of businesses there, and that's part of our ethos, that we're learning with the businesses. So all the different courses that we do have a real business input from them, from actual business. Again, with the same idea of, we don't want you just to learn as you're going along. We want you to be successful afterwards, which is a nice thing, I think. And actually, what we have here is a very strong employment rate. Now, the DELI, as this is called, the Destination Leavers from Higher Education, has changed. Actually, it's now called Graduate Outputs. I hope I've got that right. That'd be really embarrassing if that's not the case. It's Graduate Outlook, maybe. But I'll explain how it's worked. So at this point, this was 94.4% graduate employment rate was within 6 months of successful graduation. Now, this is normally for undergraduates. I might be very clear here because it's slightly easier to track. And that would normally be done like the first job, which is impressive. They've changed the metric now to make it 15 months, because that's more likely to show a career progression. And actually, therefore, we're in the top 50 in the UK for getting people not just into work, but into actual careers. And part of the reason is that we have 100% of all students have the opportunity to work-related learning, placements, volunteering, live project briefs, where we've got people from particular companies. Say, for example, you're doing graphic design, they'll come in and say, you've got 2 weeks to be doing this project for us. We're going to be monitoring what you're doing, and it's exactly how it would be in the real world. So there's all these sort of things going on at all times. Again, if you're at postgraduate level, it's a much higher level that's being asked for. But again, we're having businesses coming in and are sort of seeing what you're doing during your time at graduation means that your prospect for employment is much higher. For example, that again with creative arts, for example, that if you can show your a prospective employer a good portfolio even before you finished, your chance of getting a job with that employer is sometimes slightly higher, because that's certainly been the case when I've seen students in art and design before, that people have been offered jobs before they finish. On top of that, we also have a great careers service, and every student has an employability skills framework, which basically means they have a plan to help them find employment afterwards. So these are all things available to you. The other thing which I really like about Brighton is that everything is there. If you want it, you just have to ask. Anything else I missed here? Oh yeah, most important thing, just like yourselves, alumni. We really appreciate our alumni, and we have an amazing alumni network supporting our students. And we do really have some areas of excellence. So mentioning art and design again, we've been in the top 40 globally, and that was 2019 US World Rankings. 6th best fashion schools, 10th for medicine, that's our Brighton Sussex Medical School, fashion and textiles, physiotherapy, sports science, and pharmacy and pharmacology. These are just a few of the highlighted areas that we bring in. I haven't mentioned business yet, but I will mention that in a second when we come to that campus. So the 4 campuses. The really creative one, City Campus, fine art, illustration, humanities, film studios, amazing film studios that we have within that, kind of green rooms and all the different equipment you need to be a successful film person. I think I read also that we're 2 in the country for getting people into work in that career. Moulscombe, the big campus. It's the one where all the new building works going up, so it's changing dramatically, but it has already started to change. You can see over here on the right hand side of the screen that these are the engineering block here. So we've got the I was about to say aerospace, sorry, I meant automotive engineering section in there, but also used by the aeronautical, because of course it's the kind of wind tunnels and other things that you have. An amazing lot of facilities, but also I'm going to mention a bit later about some of the research work that they do. Business, marketing, accountancy and law are also based on this site. And just in case I do forget, business, its research impact is rated in the top 5 in the country. So it's really quite impressive. And I'll go into more about the research impact that we do here at the university. Falmer, education, which is really strong for us, as well as early childhood. Humanities, for those of you who are looking for liberal arts degrees, I know that's quite a popular choice from other things. Brighton Sussex Medical School. And then zooming over to Eastbourne, which is about 30 minutes away by train. And you've got physiotherapy and sports science, which is, again, in the top 100 globally. Our community. I've hinted at this already, that's a really friendly place, but it's a very diverse place. So we have over 150 different nationalities at our university. It's 20,000 students, so about 3,000 of those are international students. You will not feel like you're by yourself, which is most important. I just realized I'm not really looking at the camera. I do apologize. It's because I keep looking at where I've moved everyone around. So I do apologize if I look like I'm looking everywhere. There are a lot of different nationalities, and I do urge you, if you were to come to us, and you're more than welcome to do so, to really embrace meeting lots of different people. It's such a wonderful experience to be able to meet as many different nationalities as possible. Get to know their culture, cuisine. I'm a bit of a food fan myself, so cuisine is definitely up there. And among the other things that you really have the opportunity to do is the support that is available to you. I mentioned at the beginning, help is there at hand. As well as an academic tutor. The really fantastic thing about Brighton is that people probably will know you by your first name. We try and keep the classes down, certainly in tutorials, as much as possible. So I always remind myself of this, international student ambassadors. I'm going to skip over that one, so I'll come to that later. But the counselling and disability and dyslexia teams, if you need it, are there. But we have a dedicated international student support team too. They'll help you with visas and immigration, as well as introduce you to one another in social events. Now, this year, of course, it's been a little bit different with COVID, but still the community have really taken hold. And so there have been lots of online introductions and events, and as much as possible, teaching is still taking place on site. So where it's not particularly safe to do so, sorry, I'll change this around. So where it's deemed the safest option is to go online, that's what we do. Where it's possible and where it's for the best interest of the course, we're still actually maintaining teaching on site. So things like pharmacy, for example, where you have to gain access to labs, or art and design, etc., etc. So the international support team are also there to support you with everything, like reminding you that maybe your particular country, for example, might require you to go to the local police station to register, etc., etc. They are there for everything. So they're your first port of call, but they will, if they don't have the answer, they'll signpost you the right people, and everybody is welcoming. Quite a nice thing. Brighton scored in the top 20 globally mixed on student mix, showing how how welcoming a place is for international students. Practical wisdom. Now, this is one of our main things at Brighton. So it's our main kind of strategy that we really want people to actually learn whilst they're doing. And I mentioned before about the business school being in the top 5 in the country for its research impact. To explain exactly what that is the effect that research has on businesses and on economy and society in general. So it's actually just not research for, if you like, research sake. It's actually affecting society. And 92% of all our research impact has been rated as world leading, which is the #1, or internationally excellent in terms of research impact. So even though we're not an actual research intensive university, so we're not Oxford, Cambridge, we do not focus that much on research, our research is still nonetheless incredibly high quality. And actually one of the areas here that I'll point out even more, these are real genuine students actually doing as they're studying. So we have 3, is that right? Yeah, 3 mechanical engineering students and 2 aerospace engineering students. And they won funding from the French government to actually, well, if you can see them, if they're looking a little bit perturbed, it's because they are experiencing weightlessness as part of the project. So they're actually, understandably, probably a little bit perturbed because they're doing a dive to experience weightlessness as part of this project, as part of this research impact project. So exciting stuff, as well as culturally important, perhaps. A more recent alumna that we've had is showing the kind of impact that we are having on students. Has recently just won a top prize in illustration. I say this as recent because it's as recent as the 3rd of November of this year, which was yesterday. And other alumni that we've had have been also very, very successful too. I quite like the fact here we even have the creative director of Lego in Denmark, which seems possibly one of the best jobs in the world, I can imagine. A side note, this is actually our Vice Chancellor about to hug one of the students. Obviously, with social distancing these days, but it shows what a friendly place Brighton is. Brighton again, I mentioned, sorry, this is it from another angle, and it's actually a top 10 UK student city. And part of the reason why that is because of its closeness to London, but it's also cited as being up there with brilliant beaches alongside Rio, Cape Town, and Sydney. The mentioned before very quickly about the area of natural beauty. If you look on the right hand side at the back, just behind the cosmopolitan area of Brighton, you can actually see the green shapes forming, and that's about 50 miles of the area of natural beauty. So it really is in close proximity to you. We guarantee accommodation for all students if that's in their first year. And actually that will probably increase now because actually we're building brand new accommodation as part of the transformation. We have over 1,800 halls of residence across Brighton, and also we offer private accommodation, which is advice provided by the university, but even better, homestays. So for those of you who would like to stay with a local family, local British family, single rooms start from about 105 for that. We also have twin rooms, but for those of you who have had enough of sharing, you want your own space, we offer anything between 131, which would be a shared bathroom, but then maybe 140 for an ensuite, right up to around 200 for your own studio apartment a week. So it's a huge range of different different residences. If you notice again, I'm going to quickly point, I'm hoping here, sorry, I'm going to say this. So I'm just going to hope that you can see my pointer. Caroline, can you verify that you can?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, thanks. So if you notice here the different kind of positions where I am, sorry, I'm zooming around far too fast, and you can see the different accommodations. So this is Varley Park up here, Morscombe campus. And so it's possible, depending on where you are, you might possibly want to have accommodation close to where you are. That said, one of my colleagues, her main degree was in Morscombe, and she got given accommodation in Varley Park. And she wasn't particularly happy. She told me at the time that she didn't get her preferred accommodation, but actually she realized there was a free bus for students in between all the different campuses anyway. And more to the point, she became very, very fond of Varley Park. I think people do become fond of the places where they stay anyway. For those of you who need a budget, this is what we normally would say is roughly about the cost. I mentioned international student ambassadors at one point, and these are a few of our international student ambassadors on the right-hand side, and they put together a list of things that they thought were the average costs of living off campus and living in halls, as well as kind of what you're looking at weekly outgoings. Every person is different depending on what you're experiencing. And how do you apply to Brighton? Well, if you're an undergraduate, you'll apply through UCAS. If you are a postgraduate, you can apply directly on your course page, and that's much, much easier. Again, if you're a doctorate, you can apply on the PhD section, and that will actually show you the different types of PhDs we have. We have a huge range of different PhDs, and as well as that, we're part of the Chevening scholarship. To apologise, couldn't think of the word, and that will also allow you to have extra funding should you've chosen for it. You'd probably need to be waiting an extra year if you haven't already applied for that, because that finishes around this sort of time. So money and fees for 2021. For those of you who are looking to start in January time, these would still be your fees. And I give this an approximation. So in other words, that the MBA, for example, would be just shy of £20,000. And some of these would be per year. And partly the reason why the MBA is a little bit more is because it's 18 months, along with other courses, which could occasionally be 18 months as well. There are installment plans for those of you who need it. You can pay up to 6 installments per year. This year, also because of COVID, we reduced our deposit payment to 1,500, and I suspect that'll be the same again for September. International place. Oh, yep, go ahead.
So the question is, if there are master degree in animation at Brighton.
Is there a master degree? In animation? Mm-hmm. I believe there is. I'll wait until the end of my slides, and I'll send you the link if you're willing to do that. Okay. There are definitely lots of different arts ones, and animation is one of our strengths. So I would certainly think there should be. But you've now put me on the spot, and I need to double check that as well. But I'm absolutely certain there is. But yes, thank you. No, that's absolutely fine. I like to be put on the spot, so that's good. And thank you for whoever asked that question. International placements, just so you're all aware, we do actually even offer them at postgraduate level. Being very careful here because of COVID, we've not promising them as much as we would do, and they would only normally be from the September entrances. But for example, if you were to do a business course, say that you want to do a master's in marketing, that would also have an additional 1-year placement if you wanted it. So that's a really good way to kind of move forward again at possibly getting work. For all of you, you might be aware also that there is a post-study work visa. I think it's changed its name now to the graduate visa, but basically means that straight after you finished university, you have up to 2 years in the UK to actually look for extra work, which is a great thing should you want to continue to find work in that particular country. Scholarships. Notice that I'm saying 2021. It's because they still haven't come out yet for 2021 to 22. But I'm almost certain, because I've been involved in some of the conversations, that they'll be pretty much the same as last year, in which case up to 2,500, and the application deadline, I imagine, might be the same. For January, those have gone live. So if you were a January start, then you'd need to put your application in again quite soon. And I mentioned before that we're a member of the Chevening International Scholarships scheme. English language requirements, and then I'm nearly done, and I'll be able to answer all your questions. I'm loving the fact that I'm getting a few of these now. So IELTS, undergraduates 6.0 with 5.5. Postgraduate degrees will be 6.5 with 5.5 in other sub-skills. Is that correct? That doesn't seem right to me. I think that should be 6.0 in other sub-skills. Also, I've been asked before about research degrees, where they need to have a higher rate of IELTS. Actually, as far as I know, it should be exactly the same English requirement for postgraduates. That will still be 6.5. The one exception would be if it were to be nursing or medicine, then that could be 7.0. And for those of you who do require English, as I'm just finishing off my slides, we also have our own accredited centre, which is in the top 2% of accredited centres worldwide, Centre of Excellence. Key takeaways, and this one I'm going to finish. Oh, I will point out also, this is just our Vice Chancellor again, showing what a kind of friendly place it is. Thank you so much for all your questions so far, which I'm now going to answer because I should be able to see since I stopped sharing. And we've got a lot of people suddenly arrived here. So please bear with me 1 second while I start looking at the chat. Oh, thank you, Caroline. You've been fielding these very well. That's very kind of you. So I do apologise if I ask a question right down. Is there a master's degree in animation? I believe there is, and I'm going to show you that now. In fact, actually, I'll send everyone the postgraduate link so you can see all our postgraduate courses. So here's the link I'm just sharing with everybody in the main chat. So I'm hoping everyone can see that. Now, what's it? I do apologize. Animation, I was thinking was there. It's digital media arts, which is there, which isn't quite the same. But do have a look through and see if that would be of interest. It's slightly more film orientated, I would have said. I'm going to quickly zoom through a few more of the questions. And I do apologize if I missed out any of these. So do feel free to repost if you like. It's a master's degree and scholarships available for master's students. Yes, there are scholarships available for master's students. They would be up to 2,500. The way to apply for them is just as soon as you just need to have an offer in place. It can be conditional, or it can be unconditional. Pretty conditional will be fine, and then you can apply for the scholarship. And how to apply for scholarships, that's very good. I'll send you the link now. To apologize as and point out that this would be partly for January, but I might actually send you one more link as well. Okay, so this is for the current ones, for example, but this will show you where we normally have all our international scholarships. If I can actually cut and paste this link one day in the future. Okay, one more link coming through. The other way to make sure that you keep abreast of what's going on, also I'll answer a few more questions first, and I'll send you the final few links. I'm afraid there are no full scholarships, Mohammed, in answer to your question. In the UK, it's quite standard for them to be partial scholarships. At Brighton, we really kind of push ourselves in the fact that we're quite competitive with fees anyway. So we think it's a kind of fair price that we're offering at. I feel there's different undergrad. Is it possible? So Michael Naruz to everyone. Is it possible that I can get accepted in a master's program in a field that is different from my undergrad? That's a really good question. It is possible, but it depends sometimes on the type of degree. For example, it's very easy to do to go from biochemistry, for example, to business, because that's a different kind of sphere, which it's just kind of prior knowledge that you're building on. Whereas, of course, if you're trying to do something like move from business to, let's say, biological sciences or something like that, then you would need to have had at least some knowledge to have got you to that point, specialist knowledge, as it were. Sorry, please let me know if that didn't make sense, and I can rejig that. Oh, and do we still need IELTS if the instruction language is already English? I would need to double check that, but I would have thought every case is done on an individual basis. AUC should be fine, I think, but I'm going to have to get confirmation from admissions so I don't get things thrown at me by admissions. Can I share the screen of scholarship again? Omar, I've sent you the link now, so you can actually see it directly, but I realized that was before I had sent the link. So let me know if you'd still like to go back on the slides though. Ooh, some very good questions here. Caroline, did you coach people to ask deliberately really good questions? So what is the difference between PG Cert and PG Dip? So that's from Ahmed. Okay, it's a very good question. So if you think about a master's program being split into 3 parts, if you like, the first bit would be getting a PG Dip because you've done a third of your course. Then you get a PG Cert, sorry, and then you get a PG Dip because you've done 2/3 of your course, and then it's basically a master's. You'd probably only end up with a master's completion, as it were. So to do the entire course would be the master's. But if you had to drop out earlier at some point for whatever reason, then you could probably end up with an earlier qualification. strangely enough, though, if you were to do a postgraduate certificate of education, that would seem like a very small degree, but actually that's possibly the hardest postgraduate studies you can. But yeah, that's a very good one. I haven't been asked that one before. From Farah, is the program for the postgraduate studies only, or do you offer a study abroad program for a semester? We do study abroad. Yeah. If you're looking for undergraduate studies, we do study abroad during those times. I haven't been asked it before individually for a postgraduate student, but that's not impossible. That also does happen. That we are flexible in what we can do. From Ishmael, can bachelor students apply for PhD programs directly without having an MSc, like some US universities now? I don't believe that is possible where we are. You'd need to show that you had the capability to hit the ground running PhDs. To do a PhD really is hard work. I once had to do a master's and a PhD at the same time, and I don't think she really had assessed the level of work that would be. So I'm going to say no, Ishmael, but I'm always willing to be corrected later by admissions. So I will also leave my contact details at the end to make sure questions I can follow up for you directly with admissions. Got a few more questions. From Rima, can I apply to a master's program right after finishing my UG studies, or do I need to work for a year or so? It might depend on the program. For example, if you wanted to do the MBA, you might possibly want to show that you'd picked up some business skills beforehand. However, also you can go directly into masters. There isn't anything to prevent you from doing that directly, no. Sorry, that's a private question. Lily said that to everybody. I will answer that in a moment. So the private ones I will answer in a second. So for everybody, is the attendance in master's degree mandatory, or is it online? And I say in Egypt. This is a very good question this year, Omar, because of course this year we're being a little bit. Normally you'd be expected to be on site. This year we've been a little bit more flexible with how we're teaching. So we do have students studying from different countries. The expectation is that they will join us for semester B, but of course we're taking COVID into consideration. It's partly because we do see the the nice thing about the university thus far, which what it's been doing online classes, but they've been doing face-to-face in smaller tuition classes wherever possible, which is quite a nice thing, whereas not entirely online. But that is a very good question. So that's one actually which I would say is a little bit flexible this year, and it might even be flexible depending on where we are next year with COVID. That's a very good question. I've been asked to send a few more links both for people and hello. All right, great. And lots of people asking different things there. There's another one which I'm going to share with you. 1 second. I'm going to just check with Caroline that this is okay to share, and that's to stay in touch with us. Strange. Here we are. And so this last one doesn't mean you have to join in any way whatsoever, but it's an opportunity for those of you who might want to come to an online open day to receive kind of updates about our scholarships as they come through the year. As I say, to be really honest with you, I can't see that the amount of scholarship will go up, but you never know. Sometimes something might come in. It's also the opportunity for you to be notified about any other things, sometimes subject specific updates and other things like that. It's just general information. So I've sent that to, I think I've accidentally sent that to just, right, let's try and send this to everybody again. Maybe send that to just a few of you, to apologize. I'm just going to answer a few of the private ones just very quickly. Actually, for the study abroad, I'll just send you the link for that as well. A bit more information here. You're most welcome. Oh, sorry, I'll resend that to everybody then. You are welcome to ask questions audibly if you prefer. Everyone's looking very nice in their pictures. But this is also fine chat.
The perks of Zoom. You don't get to meet anyone.
Yeah.
You just stare at them.
Yes, I know. What a shame.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was that scary. Just, but possibly I am. Grand. Okay, well, you are welcome to ask me more questions, but at the same time, I'd like to thank you all very much for taking part and asking me lots of questions in the chat. Do feel free to ask me another lot of questions in the chat, especially if I've missed out on anybody, because I've tried to, I think I've got everyone, but just in case. And if anyone wants to risk saying any words out loud, they're welcome to do so.
Do you want to leave maybe also an email in case anyone wants to get in touch with you?
Absolutely, of course.
Or a generic email that you have.
So, so the link I've sent you above, the Brighton.ac.uk global stay in touch. As I mentioned before, that's about general comms. But if you have anything specific to say about how terrible my accent is or anything like that, or information, particularly just for studying, that is my email address. So it's s.d.morley@brighton.ac.uk.
Awesome, thank you.
Not at all.
Thank you so much. That was really helpful.
Thank you, Michael. That's very kind of you. And thank you for speaking. It means that I know there are other people.
Yeah. Now you're sure.
Someone
That's-
spoke.
Someone spoke. Yay. All right, I've got another question. What are the requirements for the study abroad program in terms of tuition fees? Of course, it's that's okay. So sorry, let's try and find that for you.
Let me just also comment something for Farah. I think that you also need to talk to the international office, because we do have affiliations with some universities. In case you want to do something where there is transfer of credits, you just need to validate that the credits would be transferred if you go on a study abroad. So just make sure that regardless of the information you get, you still have to go to the office, or at least reach out to them, just to ensure that the semester spent abroad you actually get credit for.
Okay. Sorry, 1 second. I have already talked to the office.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I was having trouble with the internet. Yeah, I have already talked to the office, and I just need to know more information from the other end, like the University of Brighton's end, because then I would go to the office again and give them the information they need.
Cool.
All right.
Sorry?
Already done it ahead. That's most impressive.
Sorry?
I said you've already gone ahead and looked into that. That's very impressive.
Yeah, because I've been to Brighton last January, and I really love the place. Yeah, it's very cozy.
See, I should have had you speaking at the beginning. That would have been much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I personally like this more than London. Way, it was like, yeah.
A bit more of this, a bit louder, nice.
No, people should definitely go there. Like I've been to London twice, and I didn't really like it as much as I liked Brighton, honestly.
Okay, that's a win for us.
And I've actually tried to check the link before, but honestly it wasn't really that helpful.
Okay.
So,
okay, if you
I wanted someone to help me, like, guide me through the process.
Okay, Farah, if you email me, I'll put you into contact with one of my colleagues. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. I'll do that.
Did you still have my email address? Can you see it?
Yeah, I copied it from the chat.
Cool. That's great. That's probably the best way.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Not at all. It was delightful, and thank you for also doing my work for me by just saying how great a place Brighton
is. Thank you.
Sorry, Ishmael. Yes, that would probably be Chevening, I think, actually, that does PhD scholarship. So I'll send you the link to all our international scholarships pages. In 1 second. Oh, that's the wrong one. So actually, this might be useful for everybody else as well. So bear in 1 second. And what's happened there? I'm going to send this to everybody. You may have seen that it's got a little bit darker where I am. It's just sunset here, and it's suddenly just gone. So if you think I've just suddenly become a kind of a shell with this kind of white light behind me, that's partly the reason. Apologies, didn't think to put the light on beforehand. So to everybody, I put in a link for all the different types of scholarships we have postgraduate. It should send you links to other external groups as well. do bear in mind that Chevening funding, I think, would have finished by this point. So if you're looking to start in September for a PhD, then Ishmael, you might want to wait until the following year to see if you can get accepted. That's entirely up to you. But there might be another type of scholarship that you can see in there as well. Any other questions? Now that I've embarrassed Farah in particular, sort of.
Well, I think it's my turn to thank you for your time and effort, Simon. We really appreciated it. Yeah, I think,
Not at all.
and I think Farah's testimony just got everyone more excited about Brighton now.
Okay, well that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm seeing lots of smiley faces. So if we do, if you do stay in touch, and do feel free to email me if you'd like. Then I'll try and get to speak to you then.
Awesome.
But thank you so much, Caroline, and thank you so much for organising this. It was very kind of you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your information. Have a wonderful day and enjoy the sunset.
Lovely. Thank you much indeed. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Rima. Thank you.